Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over a topic here that I think is super important in the car world. So hybrids, hybridization, pure hybrid cars or plug-in hybrid cars or plug-in electric vehicles like what I'm in right now. You know, are these cars the future, and do they stand for keeping ICE engines longer and longer? So I totally believe that they do, and I totally believe that they still give manufacturers, large OEMs, Stellantis, GM, Honda, Toyota, you know, companies like that, the incentive to produce mass marketed and mass-produced cars like the Chevy Volt I'm in, or like the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe that my fiance owns, and then allows us to still have vehicles like the Mustang, the Cadillac CT5V, Blackwing, the Corvette, you know, vehicles, any of the 63 line here, you know, vehicles like that, that, you know, are for the pure enthusiast. So I really think hybridization in our mass-produced cars is the answer for keeping ICE engines around. And to tell you the honest truth about it, in our Grand Cherokee 4xe, which is more of your typical hybridized powertrain, you know, you have the engine up front, which is connected to the powertrain, and then you have the battery that is sandwiched between the transmission and the actual gas engine. You know, that provides basically a V8-like experience, of course without the V8 sound, but with electrification in there. It is super fast for a huge heavy vehicle. You know, super fast, always torquey. That you never have to worry about torque. You never have to worry about like that 4-cylinder turbo delay in there. It really is just a wonderful vehicle to drive around day to day, and that goes for this Volt as well, having the gas generator up front, which isn't connected to the drivetrain at all, just acting as a range extender for the battery pack that is underneath me. Both are really good options, and both for your average daily driver really provide a great resource for somebody to A, drive around affordably, B, enjoy the electric powertrain without having to go full electric, and C, able to go on a 300 or 400 mile road trip, you know, without having to deal with any of the shortcomings of pure electric vehicles. So one may ask the question, well, isn't there a lot more diversity with the parts and difficulty and just overall confusion with the hybrid powertrain and the parts? Yes, there is, and that's one thing that you just can't replace with the simplicity of, let's just say, a naturally aspirated 4 or 6-cylinder or even 8-cylinder from a Toyota or a Honda or a GM product, Stellantis, whatever. It doesn't matter. So yes, there is, you know, that complexity that you may have issues with a hybridized powertrain at 200,000 or 300,000 miles, 400,000 miles, but I guess at the same sense, you know, who really is driving a vehicle, you know, 200,000 or 300,000 miles? I know certainly the only vehicle I plan on doing that with is the Chevy Volt that I'm in right now, but I'm not going to do that with, you know, our Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe, just because the technology inside of the car and the design changes year over year. But that should not be said that these vehicles aren't bad used cars to buy. Like this Chevy Volt I bought with 68,000 miles. I've got 95,000 miles on it now, and we have run into zero issues, and we're still getting, you know, a fair amount of charge off of the original battery, which we really should be able to get a fair amount of charge off of our original battery, you know, 200,000 miles after it was new. And that goes for the Grand Cherokee as well. I guess for longevity, if you're looking for an electric vehicle, theoretically, they could last forever. time and degradation of the battery does wear on it, but at the end of the day, the first electric vehicles out there, Teslas, for example, you're seeing those get 300,000 to 400,000 miles on them without any issues. Because if you are just looking at an electric vehicle, now I'm going a little bit off topic, but you deal with less of the complexities than you do of even an ICE powertrain. But going back to the hybrid powertrain, such as this Volt or as the Jeep that we have, two of the most common hybridized powertrains out there, and if not the only hybridized powertrains out there, you're dealing with a situation where in this Volt it's a lot less complex than the Jeep. But if they are built correctly, if they have the correct cooling for the battery, if the wiring is correct, everything like that, you should not run into many issues with them. If the battery itself is made correctly, you should not have very many issues with them. And honestly, guys, for the daily driving that what I'm doing today, this vehicle is perfect, because at the end of the day, most of us, 90% of our driving, we're not doing any sort of spirited driving, especially if you live in the city. So you need just a pedestrian car to get you around. And something like this Volt is perfect for it. I won't get back because I have to pick up stuff for work. I'm driving a lot today. I won't get back with any mileage left in my battery pack, which is totally okay with me. As soon as that kicks on, or as soon as the gas generator kicks on, I'm getting 35 to 40 miles per gallon, which is excellent. I mean, truly, truly excellent. So overall, I guess to take the fear of losing the internal combustion engine completely and that range anxiety that comes with electric powertrains, you cannot beat the hybridized powertrain, especially the plug-in hybrid powertrain. If you look at studies done, especially those of us who live in cities, even in rural areas such as myself, where I live a little bit from town, but it's not more than 5 to 10 miles. For the majority of our driving, the plug-in capacity of these vehicles suits our driving, and especially if we can plug in at work. So hence, I own a golf course, I have a shop, I'm able to plug in at work. I rarely ever, unless I'm doing a road trip, I rarely ever have to drive in gas mode on the Jeep or this Volt. It is truly wonderful. So my overall cost is very similar to that of an electric vehicle, but I have the option, and this, as Americans, that's what we want. We want the option of being able to go on a road trip and say, hey, what happens if I have to drive 2 hours? For me, most of the time driving 2 hours is to pick up equipment or pick up parts, whatever, specific for my golf course. Then, hey, I can hop in my Chevy Volt, run out the battery, and be totally fine. I can just stop at a gas station and fill up when I have to. But my footprint on the environment is also less, which, I'll be honest with you guys, I have a garage of 3 V8 vehicles right now. Well, 4 actually. So I guess my footprint on the environment is still pretty heavy, even though I drive this quite a bit. But anyway, you're reducing your footprint as well. So I just think that these plug-in hybrids are the new hot thing, because A, you are technically saving money, especially if you can find really good deals on these things right now, because nobody's buying them. B, you are driving a vehicle that, for the most part, is more engaging to drive, from what I've found, than just your typical ICE-powered car, because you have no torque delay when you switch gears. You have no turbo lag. You have instantaneous power whenever you want it. So it really is just a more engaging powertrain to drive. And C, you're helping out the environment that little bit, especially if you're able to keep these vehicles for any length of time. And I'll be honest, every electric vehicle or hybridized powertrain vehicle is going to have problems. That's just how it is. This Volt had problems. The Jeep 4xe had problems. But for 90 to 95 to 99% of the population who buys these vehicles, you're not going to have issues with them. If you're unlucky and you're that 1% or 2% of the population that actually has issues with them, then that's unlucky. That's like any other. For example, my C6 Corvette that I bought thinking this is the most, with the LS2, most reliable vehicle ever on planet Earth. I bought that for my sports car thinking it's super reliable. Well, listen, granted, this is an old car, kind of not a new car use case scenario, but I had to stick $3,000 into a low mileage C6 because of a harmonic balancer issue. So, you just don't know. There's always that 1% of the population that is going to have issues with their vehicles. It could be a Toyota, it could be a Lexus, it could be a Volvo, it could be a Honda, Acura, whatever, Nissan, Mazda, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're always going to have issues with a certain vehicle. So at the end of the day, while hybrid powertrains may seem more wasteful to make and more complex, but with all of the regulations and everything going on in the world and the political landscape right now, and honestly, with how much it is positively affecting the driving experience, and I mean not necessarily with the Volt, because with the Volt, it's a great vehicle, good A to B vehicle. Once you run out of battery, it's not instantaneous. You almost have to wait for a buildup of power from the gas engine to generate power to the battery pack. But let's just say for our Jeep Grand Cherokee that we have, being pancaked in between the ICE-powered 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo and the transmission, you always have that electric power. So it makes it faster, it makes it more engaging to drive. You always have torque. You never have to worry about a build-up of power because of the turbocharger. It's always there. I can really see, honestly, why people want to buy these plug-in hybrid vehicles, because it makes a driving experience almost V8-like, almost electric-like with its power distribution. So I think that people have to open up their eyes to where we're going right now with the hybridization of vehicles, and where our political landscape is right now in Europe, in America, and in Canada, and see that the hybridized powertrain is probably the way of the future when it comes to many mass commuter cars out there. I don't necessarily like the hybridized powertrain for enthusiast vehicles, because at the end of the day, you want rawness, you want stripped out. At least I do when I think of a enthusiast vehicle. But for a vehicle like this, a vehicle like my fiance's, I don't care. I just want something that's going to be as efficient as possible, as fast as possible, and as wasteless as possible. And essentially, for me, I feel like these hybridized powertrains are the way to go. So take a look. There's so many different companies. I'm not brand specific when it comes to hybridized powertrains. I get whatever fits our needs the most. Hence, I have a Chevy and a Jeep. I looked at Kias too, Hyundais, but again, they're too new, a little too high priced for what we were looking for. And guys, that's why I think hybridized powertrains are sort of the way of the future. So if you like this content, like and subscribe. That helps out a ton. We get those views up, and we will see you in the next episode.